All right, we're in our bag and we're in our groove. Let's talk all things related to M series, 3rd generation. We're going to start with the chips and we're going to go into the computing devices that really define them. And the main thing we're going to really talk about is going to be the laptops on a 14-inch and a 16-inch. So we've got 3 Apple Silicon-based chips that have been announced. M3, M3 Pro, M3 Max. As you can see right here, you've got an 8-core design, a 10-core GPU, and up to 24 gigabytes of unified memory. M3 is 12-core CPU. Again, we're going to break down which one is performance cores, which ones are efficiency cores, up to an 18-core GPU. Again, up to, so we're going to see what the configurations and the bin architecture really consist of that. But the jump from what you're seeing in terms of up to 36 gigabytes of unified memory, up from 24, that's an extra 12 gigabytes of RAM. But the M3 Max, and it should be a bit more of an interest to me because I came from an M1 Pro, got a good deal on an M1 Max. I'm basically an M1 Max user, right? We're getting up to a 16-core CPU, 40-core up to GPU, and up to 128 gigabytes of unified memory. That's insane. I think that's the most amount of configurable memory that I remember offhand being available in a laptop, and considering that probably can go in a 14-inch. We're going to check the configuration and see. Yeah, it's the M3 Max is looking like an absolute beast. Okay, game-changing graphics performance. Again, Apple have been doing a lot with transitioning, making the application program interface API more gaming friendly, and obviously the graphics performance that we're seeing here as well for video acceleration next to the media engine. Again, they didn't really mention much about the media engine, unless I missed it. They did talk about the multiple streams of ProRes that you can decode and encode when you're editing and stuff, but they didn't really say much. I think the only thing they mentioned was the fact that they've got an AV1 decoder and encoder that's in there now, which is obviously going to be much more friendly for the up-to-date AV1 codec for streaming, and obviously hopefully maybe cameras in the future are going to be recording AV1, but it depends whether they're going to be able to license it as an acquisition codec. We're not too sure it. But yeah, we're seeing this right now. They're really comparing it to the M1 Max, saying it's 2.5 times faster. Again, that's 1st generation 5nm process up to this new generation 3nm process. Again, we're going to have to see it and test it to see if that is across the board, how close it is, if it's app specific. Again, they've put the capabilities of having hardware-based ray tracing in there for real-time lighting and shadow tracing and stuff. So again, it's going to be much more realistic shadows and reflections. Again, app dependent, app supported, depends what the situation is. We're going to have to check that out and see how that goes, right? Up to 8% faster CPU. Again, multi-threaded performance on the 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 Max. That's what they're talking about. And over 18 trillion operations per second. Again, could be marketing, but could also be true. Battery life is something that they're stating up to 22 hours. Again, that's probably in a controlled environment of a 200 nit display, SDR mode, probably just watching videos, but who knows? Apple Silicon have been very efficient. I'm also so surprised, especially someone like me that is a Premiere Pro video editor, that they actually put in Premiere Pro at the forefront and not Final Cut. At least they usually put DaVinci Resolve, but it looks like they've really potentially doubled down with Adobe to make it even more efficient, which I'm not complaining. And here we are. Here's the breakdown of what we're seeing, right? MacBook Pro for everyone. So have to understand this, that the M3 chip non-Pro is only available in the 14-inch MacBook Pro, not in the 16-inch. 14-inch MacBook Pro and the refreshed iMac, right? It's only available in there. Where you get the Pro and the Pro and the Max for the M3 is on the 14-inch and the 16-inch. We've got 14 and 16-inch, Liquid Retina Extreme Dynamic Range. They've refined it. They've put stuff together. Obviously, Apple's speakers is class leading. Their mic, their inbuilt mic is class leading. I'm sure the image signal processor ISP on the M3 chip is going to be even better to enjoy a better webcam experience, which yet again is lacking Face ID, which I'm not too happy about. All the right connections. Whoa. We're saying that, right? But there's a catch. So we don't have Wi-Fi 7, so Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.3, which is obviously the highest spec. We've got the MagSafe on the left, two Thunderbolt, two USB-C 4 on the left. High-speed UHS-2 SD card slot, my favorite. USB-C on the right, then HDMI. Right, there's a catch here. So we're going to talk about this. Drive external display, connect one high-resolution external display M3, up to 2 of the M3 Pro, and up to 4 in the M3 Max. Okay, let's go to tech specs and see what's up. Right, here we are. We're looking at UK prices for now, right? I'll probably do a quick switch over to US prices. 14-inch is the one that is near and dear to my heart because the M1 Pro base model, when that came out, was 16 gigabytes unified memory, 512 gigabytes for storage for SSD, which was using 2 SSD NAND chips, right? And the configuration there, that was 18999 in the UK brand new, right? This base model does not start with a Pro chip. It starts at £1,699, 1,700 compared to 1,900. Is a £200 difference, right? Terabyte model is what brings it up to what that magical price was at 1,899. So we're going to have a look and really see where we're going. All right. So M3 is broken up into 4 performance cores, 4 efficiency cores, right? 10 GPU cores that are hardware-based ray tracing involved, 16 neural cores. Again, here's the media engine as we've seen, which is accelerated for H.265, high-efficiency video coder, which is H.265. Obviously, you've got H.264, ProRes RAW, video decode engine, AV1 encoder that's in there, right? So you can see this is how it's broken up. 11-core CPU, which is 5 performance cores, and 6 efficiency cores, 14 GPUs when it comes to the cores. Memory bandwidth is 50% higher as well. And then also you can configure it up to the 12-core with 18-core GPU. Again, it's weird how that's broken up. I'm not sure how the 12-core looks like. I'm guessing that's a 6x6 architectural breakdown, 50% performance to efficiency. M3 Max is up to 14-core, and 30-core. And obviously you've got a higher bandwidth there, which obviously states that you've got the 14-core binned M3 Max, and that can go up to a 16-core binned M3 Max, a non-binned M3 Max, sorry, for the CPU, which I'm guessing is 8x8. So what we have here, 6x6 for the M3 Pro when it comes to performance to efficiency, M3 Max 14, which is 10x4, which is very interesting how they've split that. So the 16, what is that going to entail? Is that going to entail a 10 performance core and a 6? All right, we're going to configure it and find out. So again, what they've done is they've increased the SDR brightness from 400 to 600, but it's effectively the same display experience, slightly tuned. Obviously, you've got a ProMotion display that can be adaptive at 120 hertz, but fixed resolutions, so fixed refresh rates are all stated down here, which is up to 60 hertz. Memory configuration, 8, 16, 24 for the M3. M3 Pro is 18 and also 36 gigabytes. Interesting. And then what we have here is the configuration of 48, 64, and 128 gig. 36 as well. Interesting. And then the storage configuration up to 2 terabytes on M3, 512, 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, 512, 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, 4 terabytes, 8 terabytes. 8 terabytes is only available on the M3 Max. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting how they've done this. So here are the ports that we're seeing, right? Here's a couple of the concerns that I'm starting to see right now. What Apple doesn't tell you is the base model non-Pro M3 MacBook Pro 14-inch comes with 2 USB-C ports. Thunderbolt USB 4, but it is the Thunderbolt 3 protocol with up to a theoretic 40 gigabits per second. You'll get less of it compared to Thunderbolt 4, right? So you can see on the right here, yep, that USB-C that's in the middle of the SD card and the HDMI, gone. There's reasons for that. There's reasons why they've not split one each on each side. And I'll, give my 2 cents and explain it there. M3 Pro and M3 Max pretty much tells me these are the ones that are available in the new space black color, which I'm still not entirely convinced until I see it in person. But, you know, it's good to see a return to black, back to black, as they call it. Cool. 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports with support for charging, DisplayPort, Thunderbolt 4 with up to 40 gigabits per second, which you're going to theoretically get much more of it. And it's still built around a USB 4 up to 40 gigabits protocol that's there. Okay, here we are. Full native resolution, 1 external display up to 6K 60. Interesting. So obviously the GPU is limited. And you've got full native resolution, again, 6K 60 over Thunderbolt. They don't state whether this is over Thunderbolt on the M3. Cool. We're going to dive into that. What do we have here? What do we have here? What do we have here? We've got 6K 60 hertz Thunderbolt, and then 4K at 144 hertz over HDMI. 1 external display support with 8K 60, yep, 240 hertz, which is with display screen compression. Absolutely. Here we are. Of course, support for the native display, over USB-C, video playback, backlit keyboard, no Wi-Fi 7, just 6E. And here we are. Of course, we've got the 16-inch here, which starts at £2,599. Let's look at what we get here. 8 gigabytes of unified memory. Again, 512 gigs of storage. It's not the issue. What we need to find out is this gone back to 2 NAND chips, or is it a single NAND chip for the SSD? Again, an extra £10 is going to give you a 96-watt charger. Honestly, you don't need it. Save the money. Simple, easy bag, right? 16 gigabytes of RAM. What does that do? Bring you to 1899. A terabyte of storage, £2,100. Speccing this all the way to 24 gigabytes and still getting all the limitations, 2,700. Don't do that. Base model here, right? This is effectively £200 more from what that magical 1899 price was before. £1,900 was before. And what do we get here? 11 core CPU. Definitely not worth speccing that up. That's actually fine. That's a lot when it comes to a memory jump. Most thing that's worth doing is putting the money into extra storage. Because guaranteed, at least the 1 terabyte of storage, you can guarantee you're not just getting double the storage, but you are getting 2 physical NAND chips. And with the combined unified architecture memory there, trust me, you'll be fine. So you're looking at £2,300. With 1 terabyte of storage, £2,800. I'm a 14-inch type of guy because I travel a lot. My configuration would be this one here. It would definitely be M3 Pro. Select this. Increase the storage. That would be my one here. All right. My biggest concern is going to be this particular one here. This base model. I personally think from the jump, there's just a bit too many gotchas. There's 5 gotchas with it. Price, right? Even though in the UK, for example, if I'm looking at it being 1,700 compared to that magic 1,900 that M1 Pro from 2021 was as a base model, right? And how sweet it was in terms of having 2 NAND chips, 16 gigs of RAM, M1 Pro, media engine, class-leading display, build quality, all the ports of no compromises. It was such a difference maker, in my opinion. The USB-C on the right is gone. That's one. Second reason I can come up with that brings me into a point of concern as a gotcha is, there's only 2 now, right, on the left. And those, although are USB 4, they aren't the Thunderbolt 4 protocol, they're the Thunderbolt 3 protocol, which although it still states both are up to 40 gigabits per second, you're going to get more of that theoretic up to 40 gigabits per second with a Thunderbolt 4 compliant port than a Thunderbolt 3 compliant port. Next gotcha is 8 gigs of RAM. Every other M3 chip, M3 Pro, M3 Max, got a 2 gigabyte bump to the base RAM. That should have been 10 gigs. It should have started at 10 gigabytes of RAM. That's the third gotcha that I've got now. The fourth gotcha is a very, very minor one in my opinion. Why I say very minor is that the HDMI port itself can do 4K 120. Confirmed it. It can do 4K 120. They were very, very, very kind of hidden about what it could do in terms of high bandwidth output. So again, it's not limited to 4K 60 like the M1 series were. Great to see. But it doesn't support display stream compression. Just putting it out there. And that's what allows it to do the 8K 60 and the 4K 240 Hertz. But again, it can only drive one external display. Can't drive more than that from how it's been stated. So again, the GPU in there, it's very, very limited. And it's semi-crippled enough where it's not giving you that level of flexibility if you wanted to use it completely as a multi-monitor desktop replacement. On my M1 Pro, with my dock, I'm running multiple displays, up to 3 external displays at the same time. 2 over the 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports on the left, and 1 with the HDMI port on the right. That base model wouldn't do with the GPU limitation it has, especially for output and external displays. That's the fourth gotcha. The fifth potential gotcha, which we've got to wait and see, is my biggest fear in terms of cutting corners. This does not have a dual NAND chip for the SSD. And that's going to be such a cripple base based on how the unified memory architecture works with just a single NAND SSD chip with 8 gigabytes of RAM on the base. This is the problem that we had with the M2 Pro, where in a lot of RAM heavy loaded situations, when it was actually having to, dump things to the SSD, right? Because the SSD in the M2 Pro base model 512 was slower than the base model M1 Pro 512, it caused issues. I feel like this might be another gotcha, number 5, that's there. It seems like generation on generation, what that value of the 14-inch base MacBook Pro brought compared to the M1 Pro 14-inch is still the best value Mac that they've made, in my opinion. And it seems like it's just been devalued. Having these 5 reasons on top of the price of £200 to get away from that sweet spot that is $1,899, you'd have to go for the M3 Pro. But the problem is, the M3 Pro is still £200 cheaper for it to be worth that base configuration, even though you're getting all the ports, you're getting the Thunderbolt 4 configuration, you are also getting all the external display configuration that can really support it. It's a point of concern. It's £200 more. It doesn't meet that sweet spot. That sweet spot for the $1,899 that the M1 Pro brought back in the day, it gave you space for configurability, especially when it came to storage. Going up to a terabyte, having 16 gigabytes of RAM, as well as having a full M1 Pro. Here it just feels like things are just too corner cutty. So yes, I have some concerns